We're just going to give a second, Leona, so you can still breathe.
I'm barely breathing.
Ah, no. Okay. Let me just do that. Okay. I will be your mouse, Leona.
Okay.
Okay, so I just see there's no new people coming in. Just give it those of you that's already in the Zoom room, maybe just say hi to us and tell us where you are from as we are letting in more people. Is there anyone that want to share? Where are you guys from? There's a chat box that you can chat if you like. Okay. Sometimes no one wants to speak.
Like me.
Yeah, you have to speak.
Oh my days.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start, Leona. As people are still if they want to come in, you don't worry about it. I'll admit them. You're just going to carry on with your presentation. So without further ado, let me just introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Karen Visser, one of the co-owners of BioLink Attention Training. And I'm actually sitting in my bedroom on my bed. I was shoved out of 2 offices in my house, so I have to be I'm in my bedroom. Okay, I won't sleep, I promise. So welcome to all of you, and a special welcome to Liana Stein. She's from Klerksdorp. I don't know. Is that the English pronunciation for Klerksdorp?
It's like
Klerksdorp. Okay.
Clarksdorp.
So I'm not going to introduce you, Liana. I'm going to let you do all of that. But thank you so much. I know you also have a house full of children. So this is a big deal. And thanks to your husband that's helping you. And we can't wait to learn from you. So without further ado, Liana Stein.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having me tonight. And thank you for putting up with me. I think what you guys need to understand that what this meeting is about tonight is trying to teach the everyday mommy about dyslexia. We are all faced with this quite often, and then we're hit with this very big word that your child is a dyslexic or has dyslexia, and then we don't actually know what it means. So I'm here today to try and alleviate some of that pain. Please remember that I am very Afrikaans, so if I do get muddled up a bit and I need to ask for English words, please forgive me. I'm going to do my best. So, are we ready? So here we go. I think when you look at this slideshow in front of you right now, this kind of does describe the emotional state of a dyslexic person. So from a very young age right up to even an adult, I think confusion and frustration are the 2 main words that come to mind if I had to sum up the emotional state of such a person. The biggest fear a dyslexic person has is the fear of feeling dumb. And I do remember that very long ago, somebody said to me, you know, rather ask a question and feel stupid for the moment than not ask the question and stay stupid forever. But that's not the way it's going to work with a dyslexic child. That child will definitely have a fear already deeply born, deeply rooted fear. And feeling dumb is something that happens quite often. And we need to understand that before we can actually judge them. Right? I think every mum who has a child with dyslexia will have the great fear of my child is falling behind. That is an obvious statement. Our kids are always playing catching up. They are never in front of what should be going on. They are unorganized, and as the payer, the person who has to pay for all the things that we are always losing, it is quite difficult to stay ahead of my child as he's throwing everything away. They are forgetful and often in trouble because of this. They leave their things lying around. And sometimes all of this also manifests as something with aggression. So you see a child with lots and lots of aggression who's quite unhappy about things. There's a clear lack of concentration. And then obviously you have the emotion where this child feels quite negatively about school, And it's not always fair on them or the school because it's just a feeling. So if this is what your child looks like, I would like you to listen to the rest of this meeting and try and learn something new to try and help your own child. Right, so this is me. This picture was taken a little while ago. Bugs me to this day, I must say. I myself have dyslexia, so I find all of this quite intimidating and quite difficult. I was faced with the reality of dyslexia when I went to London a few years ago. Well, it's quite a few years now. And I started working with dyslexic children and children with EBD or emotional behavioral difficulties. And then I realized that this was something that I wasn't doing in South Africa. So it wasn't until I went to London and then was confronted with this that I realized that there's a whole new market out here in South Africa that is totally untapped. I then came back to South Africa after doing many courses in London, and then I opened up a BioLink, which I found was very supportive of children with dyslexia. And I then started on this journey to work with kids with this disability. And it's really worked in my favor, because as my little boy grew up, I then realized that he was then also diagnosed as a dyslexic. So that's little Ruan over there. He is now 8 years old. I have 3 children, by the way. So Daniel is now 9, Ruan is 8, and then Kara is only 5. My oldest and my youngest are completely normal functioning, balanced children in school, doing really well. But then Ruan's finding school very difficult. So basically my story, what happened is last year in grade 1, where we started, well, actually my story starts way before that, when we realized that there was something wrong with the development of Ruan, that he wasn't developing the way that he should be. He was behind with everything. And then the school phone calls started coming in telling us that he's got no friends, he's disorganized, he's lonely, he's reversing his writing, he's struggling with his reading. Oh, there's loads. I'm going to go through all of that later on. And as that was unfolding, we then realized that it's time to take him to go and see a specialist, because we clearly have a few difficulties that we needed to deal with. So from there, I would then like to take you upon my journey, and I would like to share with you what I have learned. So we can be very fancy with a whole scientific description of what is dyslexia. But as mommy to mommy, I would like to say to you that what dyslexia is the difficulty to read, write, and spell. It really is as simple as that. So there's nothing wrong with my child's cognitive ability. He's very well adjusted in many cognitive divisions in school, but he's finding reading almost impossible. Writing is impossible, and spelling is a huge difficulty that takes up a lot of our time, robbing him from precious moments of being a young boy, causing a lot of stress in school and in the family. So doing this, I would like to go through what do we see if we look through the eyes of a dyslexic person. So don't adjust your screen. There's nothing wrong with it. What you are seeing right now is physically what it looks like for a dyslexic person when they look at written text. You can see it's very, well, it's impossible. And I mean, if you had to study your notes and go through your schoolwork or copy something from the board while it's looking like that, wouldn't that frustrate you and make you even a little bit angry? I mean, that is impossible. So clearly, if we can't read it, then it's even harder for them. So this is why so many children with dyslexia are described glasses. It's got nothing to do with their 20/20 vision. It's got everything to do with the way that they look at things and how it's perceived and then read by the brain. So the glasses and then the Erlen filters, which is the color films they put over the glasses, because color writing color and has a frequency, and the eye picks up on this frequency. And putting the Erlen filters over that actually helps the children to calm the writing down. So I'll go into that a little bit later. But that will then give them the ability to try and focus the writing so that they don't have these movements or these double visions. And that's why they prescribe glasses. So obviously, Ruan was prescribed glasses. But I've already realized that as a dyslexic, he's disorganized and forgetting and losing things. So do invest in that insurance, because they will be losing their glasses quite often. Right, what do we see at home? Well, at home, I can promise you that everything in the cupboard is on the floor. They are very untidy. And if you send them to go and clear their rooms, you will see that everything will be hidden under the bed. I had an incident of somebody telling me about how their hamster was very quiet for a very long time. After giving the dyslexic boy the opportunity to feed the hamster, they then realized after a few days that he hasn't been doing his chores, and that the hamster wasn't with us anymore because no one fed the hamster. So be careful when you hand out chores, because they will forget to do them. They are constantly looking for their things. They are over emotional and forever overreacting. So they would go nuclear about something that's actually quite simple to solve. A lot of our kids with dyslexia would actually just cut out and start daydreaming, or they will become over emotional about school. I mean, I remember in the beginning with Ruan, we had belly aches every single morning. He just couldn't go to school because his belly was too sore. One of the things that hurts me the most was his low self-esteem. He's such a beautiful boy with such a beautiful heart, but he had such low self-esteem. And trying to function when you really don't believe in yourself is it's impossible. So that was quite hurtful. And they will have a fear of trying new things. You know, we would so easily say to him, you know, just go, just do it. It's not that bad, just do it. But they don't want to try new things because they have a very real fear of failing. Sometimes you even see the bad behavior and the aggression that goes with it. And one of the other sad things about dyslexia is that these kids are so often misdiagnosed as an ADHD child and then prescribed tablets. And then that's a misdiagnosis. And then that gives tablets medication a really bad name because it doesn't actually work as well. So that can be a bit problematic. Often these kids are easily frustrated. Well, not often, I'm telling you all the time. They're always frustrated. And I find them quite frustrating, to be quite honest, because they often don't understand what I'm trying to say to them. They are hyperactive, sometimes, not always, and they are very easily distracted, because why sit and look at something and try and learn something when it's just so much easier to do something else? So if these are your worries that you have at home, then I'm going to take you on a little journey to school. So going into primary school, a child with dyslexia will have difficulties with the following things. But mommies, please listen to me. Don't become hysterical when you're ticking all of these boxes. Please remember, these are things that our children in the foundation phase have to learn. They have 3 years to get to the point where they then are being judged whether they could do it or not. So please, if you have all these boxes ticked, don't go crazy. Phone us and speak to us first, or seek the help of a professional and try and find out and investigate first before you become really concerned. Right, so first of all, these little kids have trouble remembering their sequences. So you will hear something like this: Monday, Tuesday, Friday. They can't remember the days of the week. They would be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 5 will just not be happening. So counting is a problem. Number sequencing is a problem. Oh dear, something just happened. Karen, are you there?
Okay, we're back. I don't know, something technical, don't worry. I'm back. There you go.
Oh, there we go. We got it back.
Go. Okay, go.
Right, okay, here we are. Rhyming words, big problem. You know, I was wondering, why do teachers teach these kids these things in primary school? But they all have a really big value. So rhyming words are very important and quite a good indication whether or not your child could be diagnosed with dyslexia, because they won't be able to rhyme. So they won't be able to rhyme the end of the word, or give the word and then give 3 other words that sound the same. Or they won't be able to give you the beginning of the word, the beginning sounds. So those are the little things that you can look for if you are worried that your child might be a dyslexic. Then you could also pick up a few tips from a child who has difficulties clapping the rhythm to a song. So if you were singing a song like Mary Had a Little Lamb, there would be a rhythm. You got Mary had and your dyslexic child would be the one just clapping away. Yay! There would be no clapping to the rhythm. Think about it. If you can't clap to the rhythm of a song, how are you going to learn to clap the syllables of a word? So it's very important that we need to teach them how to do this from a very young age. Also, you need to remember that your child would be forgetting big vocabulary, and then replacing it with words like that thing. Like my boy would say to me, if I asked him to do me a drink, to pour me a drink, he would then actually go and pour me a drink and then said, oh, Mommy, do you want some of that white stuff in there? And then I would have to try and figure out, so what's white stuff? And then it would end up being ice. Or he would say he would like some of that yellow stuff on his bread. And then I have to figure out, well, that's actually called cheese. So they would forget words. So replacing big vocabulary words with made up words is quite difficult. And then also thinking about it, if you had a grade 4 child, vocabulary, learning their vocabulary, that's hugely difficult because they have to remember really big words that doesn't actually remind them of anything or trigger any thoughts. So we have to break it down into visual symbols for them so that they can actually visually see something because they think in pictures, and that will really help them along. If you give them verbal instructions, I mean, if I told my boy to go to my bedroom and fetch my handbag, he won't come back. Definitely never going to happen. So they don't do a sequence of events. They won't be able to follow a whole set of instructions. So we need to be able to break it down for them. These kids often go missing in class because the class teacher would say something like, right, good morning, sit down, take out your maths books and carry on where we left off yesterday. Well, that's impossible. When was yesterday? Because they have issues with time. How do I even get my books out of my bag? Because they have motor skills problems. So this is a hugely complicated request. And by the time they thought of the third thing, well, the first 3 instructions are gone. So we need to break it down into smaller bits so that they can actually understand what's going on. Right, they also have problems remembering names and the names of places and the names of things. This is the same as their vocabulary. And they find it difficult to distinguish between left and right, up and down, near and far. It's got nothing to do with direction of the word. It's the processing of the word takes a long time. And then they become confused because they don't know their left from their right. In high school, things do tend to go a little bit better. It appears to go a little bit better. It's quite a stressful time for them because they're very, very good with hiding their problems. Look, they've got poor spelling and poor handwriting, but they are not failing school anymore because they can't spell. But they are becoming the class clown because they now have to hide being the dummy. So they would often misbehave or be the joker in class or be the cool guy just to try and hide their secret that they are actually feeling very unmotivated and unable to achieve. So these kids really have poor planning, poor organization, and they have a huge issue with time. They can't manage their own time. They also forget instructions. They forget what they read, and they clearly have comprehension problems. And I think one of the most important things that we need to remember about high school children that have dyslexia is the fact that they actually don't have an inner voice. So what is an inner voice? So while you are reading with your mouth shut and you're looking at something and you're reading in your head, as a normal developing person, you have a voice in your head that creates images and a story. So you've got a whole play in your head happening. With a dyslexic person, that's not happening. So you don't have that inner voice. So it becomes very difficult to actually understand the story and to stay involved and to follow the story. Right. Next slide, Karen. How can we help our kids at home? I think this is a very, very important thing. I think, first of all, as a mother, helping your child would also definitely mean supporting your school. These teachers of ours are trying so hard to teach a whole group with so many individuals. So as a mother, you don't please don't be the pain, be the gain. Go to them with information that actually could help. First of all, you can actually limit homework time. So don't let them sit there at 5 o'clock, then 7 o'clock, and then again at 9 o'clock, and then wake them up again at 4 in the morning. Give them a break. They really need to not be in school the whole time. Give them an order of homework. Discuss with them and say to them, right, we're going to do this first and then this. Give them a tick sheet. Make them understand that we're doing this, and then we are finished. Make sure that it's tangible, measurable, and that there is an end. Don't let homework go on and on and on forever. It is really demoralizing. Also make sure that you only work on one assignment at a time. Don't do the negative comments. And one of the most negative comments that is just like used for dyslexia all the time is, oh, you're so lazy. Oh, you're so lazy. Can't tell you how many people say this. And it's not fair, because it's not them being lazy. It's them being unable to access the work. Please make sure that you have a solid reward chart. Remember, it's always better to be positive and to reinforce if you want to change behavior. You don't have to, your go-to doesn't have to be the bad things all the time. Don't punish these kids. Encourage them to do better and to be better. Try and invest in some one-to-one tuition. Remember, you are the mommy. Mommies, we are not always there to do all the tutoring. Sometimes it's destructive and bad for your personal relationship with your child. I've had to pay loads of people to take over my duties as a teacher when it comes to my boy, because it ruins my mommy moments with him. So don't be afraid to ask for help. There's lots of help out there. Ask them. Don't do what they can do themselves. I'm very guilty of this. I am often late and not in the mood. And then I just rush in and I just do it for him. It's a teachable moment that I've stolen away from him. And then I end up moaning with him because he's not doing what he should be doing. Don't steal your child's moments to learn something. Rather spend the time so that they can learn a new skill. Very important. Something I had to teach all my colleagues at work. Don't talk while I'm writing. I can't do both at the same time. Neither can my son. So when he goes to school and the teacher is talking, he needs to listen actively, because you can't do both at the same time. Very important as well, mums, please give your child the opportunity to think about what you've just said to them. We call this response time. Remember, the journey that goes through the brain and back takes a little bit of time. Give them that time before you just fly off your handle and then just start reacting. Give them a moment to think, because they need a little longer. Right, next slide. Right, this is a big word. So many people can't pronounce this word. I am probably one of them. So there's many pronunciations, but I'm going to go with dyscalculia. So dyscalculia is dyslexia, but with numbers. So again, I'm not going to go into the medical jargon. We're not going to talk about all of that. I'm just going to point out a few things. So exactly the same way, just like a child can find reading very difficult, they can also have the same problem with maths. Some children only have a dyslexic disability. Some kids have a mathematical disability, and some kids actually have a combination of the two. Right, with dyscalculia, we are looking at the difficulty in processing numbers. So this literally means that if I gave you this symbol, the number 2, you wouldn't be able to take out 2 counters and match it up with the symbol, because somehow the symbol and what it entitles doesn't actually match up, and you are unable to understand the concept. You would often hear these children counting randomly. So there's no sequence, and backwards is even more hilarious if you think about it. They cannot distinguish between greater than or smaller than. That's very difficult. So things like equations and time, understanding time and solving problems in maths is Well, it's almost impossible. So it's going to take a lot of tuition and a lot of remedial work to try and help somebody with that difficulty. They don't remember their times tables. How are you going to remember something if it doesn't even mean anything to you? They find it very hard to solve problems. They really struggle with their mental maths, and they are still counting on their fingers. And then you get into primary school and the teacher goes, no, put away your fingers. And then you can't continue. My son, for example, can't do any sums past 10 because he's only got 10 fingers. And if I said to him, Ruan, what's 4 plus 6? He would go, oh, mommy, that's 10, because he's got 10 fingers. If I said, what's 4 plus 7? He would stop counting and then say, oh, I can't do this work anymore because I don't have more fingers. So, and that is a real reality. So estimating their quantities is quite difficult. If I showed Ruan a tray with eggs and I said to Ruan, how many eggs in the basket? He would say 100, because that doesn't mean anything to him. So quantities are quite difficult. Then we would also look at them difficulties in telling time. So how do you expect them to grow up one day and be on time if they can't read time? They find direction difficult. And these kids also have huge problems with sequencing things. So putting things in the right order, or what comes next, is a big problem for them. And then I just want to say something about time. You know, we often say this, that dyslexic children or children with dyslexia have a difficulty in telling time, but it's not just about telling time, it's about understanding time. Time is a huge concept and they don't understand that. So if I said to my boy, what did you do yesterday? He might describe to me what happened 3 years ago or what he will be doing tomorrow, because time just doesn't exist in his little mind. Right, Karen, the next one. These are just a few tips that you can look at, what you could do at home to try and help your child. I just want to highlight one of these. And I just want to say this. A visual clue as to what you want your child to do is always the best clue. Don't just use your words, because words can be interpreted in many, many ways. Try and give your child a visual clue to help them to understand exactly what you expect of them. And the same will happen when you teach them something or when they are studying. Right, from my side, I would like to say thank you very much for listening. I think, Corinne, you're going to take over now and give them the opportunity to ask any questions. I'll try and answer as best I can. Obviously, this is such a huge topic, and I've got so much I want to say, but we can't fit it in because we'll be sitting here tomorrow at 6 still. So yeah, so I'm going to keep quiet now and then pass back to Corinne. So thank you for listening, and I hope you've learned something.
Well, I just want to say, Liana, I can see you a teacher, because you to the point and it's well organized and everything. So I think it was awesome the way you presented this. So thank you so much. If there's anyone that's got questions, please just put it in the chat box. I would like to say something, Liana, because for those of you that don't know, I've got an autistic child, and through our journey in school, you know, there's actually help out there. And and so many parents that comes to our center, if you say the word concessions, there's a very, very negative perception out there for parents to think, oh, my child has to have concessions. So I would like to speak about concessions, because a concession is so important. And my advice to parents, and I think Liana now, because I mean we're in the same boat, is you must take yourself as a parent out of the equation if we talk about concessions, because it's not about you and what people are saying. It's about your child and how you can make life easier for them when we look at concessions. So talk us through a little bit about what concessions is available for children that's being diagnosed with dyslexia, and maybe, Liana, what procedures, what should parents do, what can they do?
Oh, yeah, Gordon, that's such an important question. You know what? I have this battle every single day. So our reality in South Africa, unfortunately, and I'm saying this as a mother who is going through this, our teachers are brilliant people, but they are not trained in dyslexia. So they often do not realize that they are dealing with a child with dyslexia. So by the time that it is noticed, your child has been doing quite poorly at school. As soon as you realize that your child might be a dyslexic, you need to find yourself, go onto the website of the Roy Appel and find yourself a person that is qualified that can help you with a diagnosis. A lot of occupational therapists are able to do this evaluation for you. A lot of psychologists can help you, and educational psychologists can help you. And then also don't forget your what is optometrist? Optometrists.
Yes.
Your optometrist. Find yourself an optometrist that is affiliated with the Roy Appel, which is the official organization for dyslexia in South Africa. Okay, and go on their website and find out where you can go. Have your child tested through them. After that, once the diagnosis is made, you then need to go to an educational psychologist to then have a scholastic report done, and they will then inform the school, give the school permission to then do a report on your child and give them their concessions. Children with dyslexia will often get a concession in extra time, no spelling, so their spelling won't count. If they have motor dyslexia, they will have a scribe or be able to write on a writing device like a computer or an Alpha Smart, and they will also be given a reader. They can also be given a prompter if it's a combination of a child with dyslexia and ADHD, so somebody who's moving all the time and moving around, then they will give you a prompter, so someone that will focus your child on the task at hand all the time. So help is available. Often the schools are not able to honor that because of timetables, restrictions in budget. So as a parent, you have to offer to pay someone from outside to come in and do the scribe or the reading part. But in most cases, to my knowledge, schools have been quite receptive and helpful. So once the problem has been diagnosed and the concessions has been given, then the schools will try and honor it as much as they can within their budget and within their timetable and within staffing. Staffing is a huge issue. If they are unable, then offer to pay for it yourself. And I can honestly tell you, people, going rate at the moment is anything between 70 to 150 Rand per exam paper. You won't get that for every informal assessment. The schools will only do it for your formal assessment. So basically, we're looking at your June exams and your November exams. Once you get to the FET phase, which is our secondary, our grade 10 to grade 12 phase, well, then things are a lot tighter and a lot stricter, and you will have to take hands with the Department of Education, and they will then guide you through the process for obvious reasons, because people will actually try and use this to benefit themselves without having a diagnosis. But if people are unsure, they can contact any BioLink and then ask for help, because a lot of what we do can help you with a lot of these things that I've been discussing tonight. So I just think reach out to a BioLink center as quickly as possible for some support.
Yeah, and I think at that point, I think because all of our agents, if I look across the globe where we do have people, a lot of the students that has been diagnosed with dyslexia, and exactly what you said, will have on top of that, they struggle with slow processing speed. Yes, they struggle with attention. So the question that we always get, Leona, and I'm sure you get that as well, is that will what we do, the neurocognitive training, is that going to help for dyslexia? No, it's not going to. But there's always the cognitive strengths are always parallel working, you know, with the dyslexia. So that's what we address. Is that yes, how you handle that as well, Leona?
Yes, absolutely. You know, a lot of the play attention games that we do support the individual aspects that needs to develop for you to be a better learner. And yeah, and I think it's a great way. It's a great starting point. Yes. And it's a great therapy to try and support a child with dyslexia so that they can become stronger and better learners. It helps with impulse control, as you know, and it definitely helps with processing. And then obviously one of the best things that I have found of BioLink is the fact that it actually helps with developing the long-term memory. And that's exactly where you want to go with a child with dyslexia. You want to use the short-term memory to fuel up and fill up the long-term memory so that they can retrieve information much more easier.
What we have found in our center, especially with some of our children that's been diagnosed with dyslexia, is that our audio lab really helps because we train them to be active listeners, and so we've found that really plays a big role as well and assists the children a lot.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So we've got a question here. I don't know if you can see the questions, Liana. So it's Janka. Janka is here from Bloemfontein. I know her. So she says, hello Janka, can something like color blindness, for example, worsen dyslexia or dyscalculia? I say dyscalculia. I don't know how you pronounce this. Everyone says it differently.
Is that my question?
That's your question.
To my knowledge, no, but I would have to go and find out for you if there is any truth to that. I don't actually know. I've never come across anything like that.
Is there a specific reason why you're asking that, Janka?
No. Yes, because my little girl, she's 5 years old, and she's been diagnosed with color blindness, and now I'm suddenly one of those panicking moms that in the
We're the team, we're all worried.
And in the beginning there was a thing with tick box or things that you say we must check, but we don't. I mean, she's very young, we mustn't tick and then get scared or something, but she ticked 11 out of 13 of those boxes. Were all signs of, I see it immediately in her with her, because she's in an amazing pre-primary school where and when I work with her, I see really all these things like pop up immediately, what she struggles with. So I was just wondering, because she's got the color blindness and I see this dyslexia signs and everything. So yeah, I think I will just go to BioLink, do my first stop there, and just make sure. Maybe I'm a very eager mom, you understand, to let her go and everything. But there's too many signs for me that shows, yeah.
I understand what you're saying, because I know you now, Janka. You are Liana. She's very proactive, and I mean that's the sort we want. That it's better to be a proactive mom. So rather be that than not worrying at all. So Janka, don't be so hard on yourself. But I mean, when's a good age for dyslexia to be diagnosed? It can't be so young, right, Liana?
Nothing under the age of 8.
Okay.
8. Okay.
The test for dyslexia, the criteria for being a dyslexic is finding reading and writing difficult. Well, our kids don't read and write until they're 8 years old. So we've got a lot of signs that we need to look for before that, but it can't be diagnosed until then. So yes, she ticks a lot of boxes. So yes, start preparing for it. Do a lot of therapy, do a lot of treatment, take her to BioLink, do everything, be proactive.
Okay.
You want to do everything that you can to make life as easy as possible for your child. So no will come from doing that. And then when the time is right, you will know. And then you would have done a lot of legwork already. Precaution.
Okay. Proactiveness. She's proactive, yes.
So prevention is better than cure. So there's no cure for dyslexia, but there's a lot that you can do to build the scaffolding to make life easier. And the sooner you start, the better the outcome. So it's never too early to start, even though.
So I can basically help her prepare when she's in a situation on her own to do something. Is that basically what I can help her if it becomes dyslexia, maybe one day, just for the, like you said, doing the legwork now?
Yes, and if you literally just look at the slideshow and pick off some of those boxes, you will see that do kitchen work with her. Take her into
Yes.
start measuring with her. Know that she struggle with time, so start working on time already. Know that handwriting will be a problem, so do a lot of this clay, speel met clay, bak cookie, get involved with hands, do washing pegs, a lot of peg work so that her grip will be there. Yeah, I'm not an occupational therapist, but there's loads of things that you can do to strengthen her hands. Start story reading with her, help her to figure out a timeline and sequencing, like what did happen, what is happening, what will happen. So start working and developing her language so that you can understand what parts of time we are in at the moment. Give her vocabulary. TMA, in the primary schools, they do these TMAs every week. I've got no idea what a TMA is in English.
I don't know either. And you know, we've got American people in our group, so we have to find the word. Themes.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, people. So with theme work, you know, with theme work, so give yourself and your daughter, give them a theme for the week and then develop the vocabulary for that theme for the week. And then you'll be amazed how much she can learn. And it won't just be for dyslexia training, it would be for self-development.
I'm sorry, last question, sorry, Karen. Will it help to improve her memory of doing things? Can we focus a lot on memory, that it becomes like a muscle memory when she's doing counting, or like you say, when we cook or something? Will it help?
Absolutely, absolutely. As much, develop that memory as quickly, as hugely as you possibly can. Memory is
awesome.
Yeah, no,
thank you so much.
Thanks, Janka. Well, Liana, this was great. Thank you so very much. I'm definitely going to get you to talk again. You've got so many. Yes. The thing is, what I like, you know, if we can speak from experience, and like you said, we talk to mommies. I know how it is to have an ADHD child with anxiety. I know how it is to have an Asperger in my house, and it's nice to give people hope, right, Liana? It's not the end of the world if there's issues and shortcomings. You know what? They'll all grow up and they will all be a well-adjusted adult sometimes. But the better you equip yourself as a parent, the better it is for your child.
Oh, Corin, that's so true. You know, I just want to end up by saying this, that I end up with parents in my office so often in tears, being distraught because their kid has a difficulty or they've been diagnosed with something. And I've been there, had the news, broke my heart, felt like it was the end of the world. But you know what? The sooner you embrace it and get over it, the quicker you can actually just have a normal life. And it just takes you on such a journey. Just because of my child, I have learned so many new things. It's been such an amazing journey. Not all good, okay? Hands up, it hasn't been all good. Sometimes it's really tough. But then I meet other people along the way and you start sharing and exchanging stories and what works for you and not for me. And you just become so enriched. And then I just realized that having a child the way that my boy is has blessed me in many, many ways, not only in my career, but also as a person. So I just think it's amazing, you know, and if you have a person like that in your life, you should just go and give them a big hug right now and just say, thank you for being in my life, because it's just amazing.
You know, it's so true. I know, you know, when I speak to parents and share my story, and every time I tell them my journey that I've been on, and I mean, my journey has been now almost 13 years, and I tell them that he's got Asperger's, so he's on the autistic spectrum, and the reaction is always exactly the same. It's like, oh, shame, you know, because people don't know what to say. And it's not oh, shame, because I know what it is. We're handling it, and it's amazing because this child has got so many other things going for him. But it's like you said, we as parents, and that's the difficult part, especially in the beginning, if you don't have support, is to embrace it and then work through it and have your child's best interest at heart. Because I mean, my autistic child gives me joy, and he makes me very, like you said, he frustrates me so much sometimes, but you know, he teaches me so much, and it helps us in our job. It helps us to work with the parents that we do.
Absolutely. No, it's true. Very, very true.
Okay, guys, so if there's no questions at all, I see we've got some people on Facebook as well. Let me just see if there's questions. Oh, sorry, there's one question on Facebook, Liana. So the general age, I think you did answer that. You would say 8 years old, right?
Yes, it's very difficult to assess a child for an ability that they haven't learned in school yet.
Yeah. So Jenny, it's 8 years
probably
old.
about 8. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to tell everyone attending and everyone watching the webinar as well, Liana gave us so much information, and we actually compiled this in an ebook for you to get. So this ebook will also be available. We will email you and let you know, everyone that's registered, that it will be available. Otherwise, I will also upload this. If you are in our parent support group, this will be uploaded into our portal. So Liana, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this so much, and thank you for spending the time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, you must have a great evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.